It's like when they make a report about a country and then you look at who was actually there in that country. Oh, it's like 3 upper-class people that are sitting there and they're, you know, directing policy.
Da li još pitanja? O, evo, skroz da. Thank you for the lecture. It was really provoking because I found myself in a position of this first group of people you mentioned that it's okay to just choose what you want to be. So, okay, this opened some questions for me also, so thank you for this. And yeah, I wanted to ask this kind of gender identity stream in politics also, how do you think it is connected to social media? In a way that our life goes more individual, and I think it's easy to then get disconnected from what body is and what is sex, and in this virtual space I think it's really easy to like switch gender and sex to, as you define it, as something that is like given and something that can be chosen. So yeah, and I'm thinking about this in this term of technocracy also, in transhumanism. So for me, this is like more of a symptom of this, not just this, but I think that is one of the symptoms of transhumanism. And like all those techno-politics and the way how we relate to reality, which is also connected to post-truth. You know, like, as you said, there are some institutions that seem to be institutions, but actually they are just a group of people to pretend to have legitimacy. So I think it's like many different levels of the state, of the like, how to say, of the society we live in. You understand, like this technology, social media, logical social media, where the money is, what is like, you know, what is the economy in a way, how our psychology now works with social media, what is important, what is just attraction, what is truth, what is their truth, and things like that. So a lot of people, a lot of things you said just like sounded like one of these like niches that can be also seen, as I said, as a symptom of this like larger transition of humanism to transhumanism. For me, that was just a comment.
Yeah, you're right, and thank you for that comment, because you actually touch upon something that I had in one chapter of my book which I didn't speak about. Because you know, when I wrote this book first, my idea was to write it more the consequences of gender identity theory for women, right, as a class. So, but in the course of this book, I spoke a lot to people who had transitioned. You know, some would call them trans people, people who actually went through like a medical transition. You know, and you know, I started realizing something, and this was after like long friendships, and I don't mean interviews of 2 hours and bye-bye. I mean like I made friends with people that we met every week for years. So that's at a different level. You get to know and hear different things that you didn't hear before. And that's when I realized that people who transition, trans people, are like victims of this theory as well, and a lot, because they, just like you were saying, are being sold the lie that you can actually change your sex through this online thing, through like having an avatar of a different sex, through having filters that make your face look super feminine, and you think, well, it looks like that now. I would just, you know, fix a couple of things and I will really look like that. You know, and really thinking that it's possible, and the industry is selling them, and I have these quotes from the industry where they're saying like, oh, you can just, you know, take hormones, see how you like it, then switch back, and it doesn't work like that. And the sad thing is that the ones who risk the most in transitioning are young gay males and young girls who are either lesbian or have traumas or psychological problems or are somewhere on the spectrum, right? The heterosexual males who transition when they're already married, they have adult kids, they are like 60 years old, they don't really transition, right? They don't cut things off. They stay intact. So they are okay, they just do the fun stuff. But the ones who really risk everything, who go through all the hormonizations, who become patients for life, who cut off the sex organ and have this vaginoplasty that's very often not successful, that you end up with something that's not working and that gives you a lot of problems. The ones that cut off their breasts, the ones that, have infertility, bone problems, boys that will never change back if you change your mind. These are like the gay males and the young girls. So they are really the victims of this industry. And what I think is so cruel is that when everybody's talking about trans people this, trans people that, nobody actually cares about them. Nobody actually cares about them. Because I've been sitting, next to these people who are talking to me about how their body is actually functioning after these operations. How their difficulties in having sex. A trans male, for example, he has a beard. He looks like a male on the outside. People can think he's a male. But they cannot create a functioning penis. So as a heterosexual or as a gay, he will have problems. Because most of the time, both gay males and heterosexual women are expecting to see a penis. And there is no penis, right? On the other hand, the gay male who transitions because he wants to be more liked by heterosexual males and pass as a woman, he will realize that, the neo-vagina is not really working. If he's not dilating all the time, it's going to grow together. And he's, just going to have what he had before. He's not going to have something extra. He's going to have something less than what he had before, to put it in a not so vulgar way. So what I'm trying to say is that when that happens to them, they are left alone. All these allies don't care. All the people who are saying trans people that, they don't care. They don't care about real trans people and their real suffering post-transition. They don't care about the new dysphoria that comes when you already went through everything. You can't get your penis back. You can't get your breasts back. You can't get your voice back. And you're stuck in some middle landscape because the industry sold you a lie. Because online, you can be the king of the online discourse. But in real life, you end up not fitting in anywhere. Because reality is you can't really change sex. You can change the appearance, but your body is going to keep on fighting that. And if you cut off the testicles of a man, he's not going to produce testosterone. So he's going to have to inject himself with female hormones for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life. So they create patients for the rest of their lives. And then gay people were fighting and lesbian people were fighting against medicalization, against conversion therapy. And what do we have here? What is this? When they speak about LGBTQ clinics, who needs a clinic? It's only the T that needs a clinic. The other don't need a clinic. And they're selling them this like you can be who you really are. It sounds so easy. It sounds so great. The greatest thing is to be an ally. You're not putting your own body on the line. You're not risking anything. And for the trans men, it's really hard. Because for the trans men, they're having the same position in the trans movement as the lesbians had in the gay and lesbian movement. They're kind of like appendix to the trans women. So the trans women are everywhere, the trans men are like, we're coming along and, making the coffee and seeing if we get some of the rights too, which they don't. And then they're as invisibilized. In fact, they're more invisible as men than they were as women. But without access to the feminist movement that should be standing up for them as women. So they are finding themselves in like nowhere land. So their only hope is for like the trans movement to somehow give them something back. Which is, they're not really delivering. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to see like a lot of them revolting as well. And we're already seeing a lot of people detransitioning because it wasn't what they thought it was. I'm not saying that it's bad for everyone. It works for some people. But there is a lot of things that are never talked about. When it comes to transitioning and the consequences of it.
Okay, we have to finish.
Yeah, so is there a last question or should we just finish off?
You can finish if you want to say something.
No. I'm doing you long enough.
But then thank you again, Kajsa, for this wonderful time. And I want to say we have also Kajsa's book here, if you want to buy it. And
do you buy it from you, or who do they buy it from?
How do we buy it?
From Spinpex.
Yeah, but how are they going to pay? To you?
Yes, and we will send it.
Okay,
No
okay.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
And it is. We will have also after that a video on demand. So from this lecture, so you can see it. Yes. Thank you very much for coming, and have a nice day, a nice weekend. And yeah, we have to be strong, to be loud, and to be in solidarity.